Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to share my story of going vegan and what I've learned and share some tips with you guys. So if you're interested in that, stick around. And if you can leave me a comment, a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos, that would be so fab. So first off, I just want to say sorry about any noises. I'm sitting in my garden because it's such a nice day. I thought I would take advantage of the lighting, but I live surrounded by lots of children, although they should be at school right now. So this weekend just gone marked my 3 months since I went vegan, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how I got to that point and how I found it. So first of all, I've never really drunk milk or eaten butter. My parents reckon it's because my older sister, she was always a bit of a fussy eater when we were growing up, and me and my brother just probably copied her. When we used to go to after school clubs at school, there would be a separate pile of bread that wasn't buttered just for me, my brother and sister, because we would not eat it. So I think when I was about 11, 12, possibly 13, I really wanted to be a chef. And yeah, I loved cooking. I loved pretending at home that I had a restaurant and me and my sister would make menus and serve up food in the evening. And my dad bought me this book by Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. And if you don't know who he is, by the way, he is a great chef, and he actually has recently brought out a book which is completely vegan, which me and my parents cook from, and it's super yummy, so go check that out. My dad brought me this book, and it's all about Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall campaigning for the rights of chickens. So he is a meat eater, but he was campaigning for better standards for factory farming, you know, giving chickens more space, and I really got into it. So from then I became a bit funny about any meat that wasn't free range, and so I started sort of sometimes, if my parents were cooking meat and it wasn't, I just wouldn't eat it. I then developed quite a bad relationship with food, and I didn't want to be a chef anymore. That dream kind of went. So that sort of phase of my life just sort of passed. You know, I became a lot more aware of things like money, and you know, if my parents couldn't afford to buy free range and organic meat, then I needed to understand that was okay, and just, you know, eat what I was given. And then when I was 18, I went to uni, and obviously all my cooking and meals was in my control, and I just started eating a lot more vegetarian meals. I never liked buying raw meat and preparing it, like the whole process of cooking raw meat and everything, I do not enjoy. However, when I got into my second year of uni, I started getting really unwell, and I had this issue with my tonsils, and they were always enlarged, and the doctors never knew why, because it wasn't like they were ever getting infected, so I never actually had full-blown tonsillitis, but they were so sore because it was like tonsillitis but without the actual pus or anything. Sorry, it's a bit grim, I hate that word, pus. It was really, really painful, and I was just always exhausted, and I missed so much uni, and anytime I went out the house even for like an hour, I just have to come back and go to bed. And I went to the doctor so many times for this, because obviously it was really affecting my life, and they did not know what it was. They couldn't solve it. They just kept telling me to take painkillers, which obviously I was doing, but it just would not go away. And I definitely think that it was partly to do with my mental health, because that can really have an effect on your physical health as well, but I knew that it wasn't just that, like there was something else. So I came back here to Surrey from London, and my mum was like, why don't you go and see a nutritional therapist? So we have a really nice health food store here, and you can have like a consultation with a nutritional health therapist, and she can advise on things that she thinks might help you. So I went to see her. She was really lovely, had a really nice chat, and she said, you know, do you have any skin conditions or anything? And I said, yeah, I've got eczema all over my body, which I've had since I was born, really, really dry skin. And she was like, well, that's quite often linked with an intolerance to dairy. I think I'd heard that before, but you know, I didn't link that with my tonsils. Like I didn't think that giving up dairy could help something like that. So she said, you know, I advise you to do that, and I think she also gave me some really expensive vitamins that I bought and never used. Anyway, I gave up dairy from that point on as like a trial, and a week later I literally felt so much better. It was crazy. Like, I felt like a whole new person. I went from being so unwell, so exhausted, to just being like, oh my god, I feel like Kirsty again. It was great. So literally from that point onwards, which was April, May, I think, May 2016, I have not had dairy. Well, knowingly or intentionally had dairy. And yeah, I'm so glad I did that, and I'm so glad I discovered that, and I don't have a problem with my tonsils anymore. If you're unwell all the time and you don't know, I would really recommend you try cutting out certain things. So skipping forward to then becoming vegan, I had tried, I think, being vegan very briefly and being fully vegetarian, but I kept breaking it. It was mostly the chicken shops. In southeast London, there is just chicken shops everywhere, and especially when you've been drinking, it's just like there. And I think that's what it is, convenience. I'd always feel disgusting after. I'd always have such a dodgy stomach after, but I just couldn't seem to just be like, nah. I came home for Easter, which was a week before my birthday this year, and my mum, I think, was I can't remember exactly what she cooking dinner. I think it might have been pork chops or something. And I was just looking at it, and I was just like, I'm really sorry, but Mum, I don't think I can have that for dinner. Can I just have the vegetables? So I just had the veggies, which was fine by me. Veggies for the win. Then the next day we went to my great aunt's for Easter, and like a lot of families, that involves a big roast meat, and it was lamb, and lamb has always been on my funny agenda. I was just like, there's just no way. Like, I literally, something just switched to me. I was like, I can't eat it. Like, I cannot be putting that in my mouth. So again, just had the veggies, which was great, and from then I've been vegan, and I love it. I love it so much. I honestly don't know what switched in me. I think it was finally because I've always felt guilty when I eat meat, and it was finally just being like, okay, well, I'm gonna do what I feel instead of just eating it anyway, feeling guilty about it. Like, I'm just not gonna eat it, because then I won't feel guilty. Like, it feels great. So now I'm gonna answer some questions that I've asked myself, by the way. No one else has asked me them. Just ask my own questions, just because I thought the answers might be of interest to some people. First one is, have I craved animal products? The first month I was vegan, as you may have seen in my vlogs, I went to Australia to visit my boyfriend because he lives there, and I had a couple of days where I was just like looking at chicken, like thinking, oh, like I just want that. But since then, no, I literally haven't. I literally look at it now and I'm like, that's disgusting. Like, I just don't want to eat that. No. And in terms of dairy, I used to eat a bar of Galaxy chocolate every day, pretty much, before I gave up dairy, because I loved it. And honestly, like, if I didn't have my chocolate, I was going to be in such a bad mood. I was going to be stressed. when I used to realise I had no chocolate, I would just be searching through all my cupboards like, where the heck is the chocolate? There were cases where we would literally go to the petrol station at like 1 AM just to buy a bar of chocolate over the counter. It's pretty bad, pretty big addiction there. And I feel like your cravings just change so much. I noticed when I gave up dairy, and I couldn't always have chocolate. Obviously there's a lot of vegan chocolate options, which is great, but I feel like when I gave up dairy, like, I craved fruit a lot more, and I definitely eat a lot more fruit now since going dairy free and vegan, just because I just crave the sweetness and the freshness of it. Am I craving animal products? No. Okay, the next thing is bloating, which I know a lot of people talk about in these kind of videos, and I've actually always had issues with tummy problems, probably for a number of reasons. My diet has always been quite high in fibre because as a family we've always had a lot of kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils, and like too much of that can give you trapped wind and bad tummy pains. I went to the doctor a few months ago because I've been having excruciating tummy pains like every month I get them, and he basically said, you've probably just got like trapped wind, like you really need to stop eating so many beans. And I was like, what? But beans are my life, like I can't stop. And for farting, like I probably just fart as much as ever. Because like I said, my diet's always been pretty high in fibre. I think if you're gonna go from a very low fibre diet to a vegan diet, then you're probably gonna be noticing quite a lot of farty farts. Okay, next one is, do I take any supplements? When I first went vegan I didn't, and I don't know why I did that, because I've been feeling exhausted. Like when I came back from Australia I thought it was just jet lag, but it went on for like 2 weeks and I was like, why am I feeling so tired? And the answer is I wasn't taking my Floradix. And Floradix is a B12 and multivitamin tablets which you just take once a day. I've actually now switched off Floradix because although Floradix claims they're vegan, they do actually contain beeswax, I think just as a coating, so it kind of depends on your own, like whether you view that as being vegan or not. I personally would just rather have as few ingredients going into my body as possible, so I've switched to Cheeky, I think they're called Cheeky Nutrition B12 tablets, just straight up B12. Take once a day at breakfast time with some water, and honestly it makes such a big difference to like your energy levels. You just don't want to nap all the time, and that's all I take. I would like to have protein powder, but the ones I've tried are just they're very disgusting. So if anyone can recommend a vegan protein powder that isn't Grim and preferably chocolate flavoured, that would be great. Next question that I've asked myself is it expensive? Now I definitely think you can have an expensive vegan diet if you buy, you know, like all the coconut flours, coconut oils, just whole nuts and everything, but honestly it can be so cheap. Like my go-to meals that I cook for myself are just so cheap, like vegetable chili. So for that I use like a pepper, some mushrooms, chopped tomatoes and kidney beans, and obviously like some spices, but it's things like that with rice, so cheap. So no, like if people are like, oh I'm not gonna go vegan because I can't afford it, but nah, you just don't want to go vegan, which is fine obviously, but that's just not a justification, I don't think. I think in terms of snacks and stuff, like the snacks do generally tend to be a bit more expensive, but then again I know that instead of eating like a Mars bar or something, I'm eating a bar that's made of like dates and fruits and good things, so I don't really mind. So I just wanted to give a few tips, a few bits of advice to anyone that might be thinking of going vegan or just, you know, cutting some animal products out of their diet. I think my first tip would be like make it a gradual process. As I said, I gave up dairy 2 years before I actually went vegan. I know for a lot of people like the thought of just dropping everything that contains animal products is overwhelming, understandably, because like that's probably been your whole life. But even just, you know, reducing the amount of times you eat meat a week, swapping normal milk for like a nut milk, which by the way I just think that's so much better anyway. Hazelnut milk literally tastes like Nutella. So yeah, just make it a gradual process because then it won't be so overwhelming and you won't feel like you're punishing yourself. I personally never felt like that. I've never felt like I'm missing out on things because there's so many substitutes, and if you're doing it for a reason that's not animals, you might feel a bit like you're punishing yourself by cutting out things. So my second tip would be to definitely join the vegan community in some way. So I have an Instagram page and I think it's just so great to follow others who make vegan food, have a vegan lifestyle. Everyone's so lovely, honestly, people are just so nice. because I think in general, like, people who are vegan tend to be very compassionate, because obviously they care about animals and the earth. And I also am on some YouTube support groups for my channel, and honestly, people just so lovely. So I personally don't actually know a lot of people who are vegan, so it's quite nice to have people online who I share similar interests with, and we can share what we think of products, share recipes. Like, I just think that's a really good thing to do. My third tip would be to just stock your cupboards up with the essentials. I'd say, like, my essentials, as people who have lived with me previously know, my number one essential is chopped tomatoes. Like, the possibilities are endless. And then I would have kidney beans, onions, chili flakes, rice and pasta. And with that, literally, you can do so much, and all you need to buy is a few, like, bits of fresh veg. Like, it's just great. Someone trying to transition to being vegetarian or vegan, I think quite a common fall down is takeaways, and it's so much easier to get a takeaway that has animal products in it. I know where I live, there's literally, like, there's just no vegan food apart from one bakery, which is amazing, by the way. It's just not. So personally, I don't crave takeaways at all. I much prefer a home cooked meal. I don't know what it is about takeaways. I always feel a bit grim. I don't feel fulfilled. So I think I'm lucky in that sense. But I would say if you have the essentials, you're gonna think, oh well, I can just cook at home, save some money. It will still be vegetarian or vegan, and yeah, like, I think as long as you make sure you're stocked up, you're less likely to slip up. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, please leave a like and a comment and subscribe for future videos. Thanks so much for watching.